Uh, I want to talk very briefly in general about the concept of a hub and some transportation aspects related to that. Then I'll talk about very briefly about some of the research we have done at Calgary regarding rail networks and especially what are called ring railway lines, and then finally about an application to the western province of Sri Lanka. So, of course, I don't know a whole lot about this, but I thought I'll contribute my 2 cents worth. I think it's important to be realistic about being a hub. Taiwan's economy doing so well compared to the Sri Lankan economy. The main reason is education. 70% of Taiwanese young people go to university, and a good majority of them are studying technical subjects. So the intellectual effort there, the ability to create new products, to be innovative, to be novel, is enormous. So Sri Lanka is not even close to that. And in my personal view, having some second-rate foreign universities having campuses here isn't going to do it. We need to really have more of our own universities, increase the size of our own technical faculties like engineering and IT and science. And that's crucial. I think without that, we can never be a hub. So that's very important to remember. I think we need discipline. If you look at Singapore, I think the main thing that separates Singapore from Sri Lanka is discipline. People in the armed forces know all about that. But the rest of us have to learn to be disciplined, to be reliable, to do things on time, to deliver as promised. These things don't take money. These things need just strong discipline. So we need some cultural changes to be a hub. We need to have a day and night economy 7 days a week. We need consistent economic policies so that when governments change, the policies don't completely flip. We need fairness in awarding contracts. We need a well-operated, high-capacity public transport system, which is what I will talk about. We need road safety. So there are many things that are needed to be, truly needed to be a hub in addition to the ambition. So what's a well-operated, high-capacity public transport system? If you look at all of these places that are hubs, except perhaps Dubai, and Dubai is also well on its way, they have very good urban rail networks. So I believe that in the long run, in the medium run, the Colombo and the Western Province actually should have a good urban rail network. This network has to be pre-planned. It cannot be done piecemeal. So you have to have a proper transportation study, agree on what the network is, where the lines will be, and then perhaps build them, the most important ones first. You cannot do it piecemeal. You cannot say, well, we like to have a line here, so we build it, then 10 years later somebody says, let's build a line here. So you can't, that's not a proper network. So we need to have priorities. And the technology for these lines has to be chosen very, very carefully. Because once you pick a technology, you are stuck with it for a very long time, 50 years, 100 years. That doesn't mean the whole network has to be exactly the same technology, but the technology selection is very appropriate. And in this regard, I think we have to be careful of vendors who come with aid and say, well, if you build our technology, we'll give you aid for that. That's a very dangerous proposition. So we need to study the characteristics of different technologies. Like there's a lot of talk about monorail, for example. Monorail is very well known for its weaknesses, not so much for its strengths. So if we go with monorail, we have to understand some major weaknesses that it has. And I believe that this network should be done by a new agency. That my green light? How much more time do I have? Okay, I'm down to 2 minutes, so I'll run down just about to talk briefly about ring rail transit. Like, this is a concept where there are mostly radial railway lines, but some of the cities have a ring line about it, and these support economic development in the whole city. And there are many cities considering these lines, and we've done some work that shows some relationship between the ring rail line length and the population density. And there are some other analysis that shows the length of what the circle should be and the annual ridership related to density and length of network and things like that. So looking at Colombo and the Western Province, we've applied some of the theory that we've done. And I think it's important to show you some preliminary results very quickly, if you'd allow me. This would be a ring rail line more or less within Colombo that will go from somewhere from Vellavatta to Battaramulla to Mahara to Ragama. And from Ragama, actually, it can continue along the Nigambu line. And this is a outer line that actually connects the centers of gravity of the radial lines. So the center of gravity of the coastline is Moratuwa, and so on, and which will be nice for KDU. And so if you think of both lines, that's the kind of ring rail line that Colombo and the Western Province could have. So we are not suggesting this is perfectly designed and this exactly should be the line. What we are suggesting is that there are methodologies available to come up with concepts regarding lines and where the lines should be without arbitrarily just getting a map and drawing a line. So these lines are based on studies we have done that I couldn't show you in detail about the rest of the world and cities which already have ring rail line. So the ring rail line doesn't have to be a complete circle because the Western Province is such that so we propose to do further research on this, and that someday perhaps some of these lines will actually happen. The important thing about these lines is they will support development of the whole province and the whole of Colombo district, as opposed to ring roads which actually take development outside the road and people go and build houses out there. So